Long ago, before the dawn of history, before men walked among the gods, there lived a great king. His name was Uther Pendragon, mighty ruler of the Britons. He led his people against Saxon invaders, driving them back across the sea. But as the years passed, the king grew weary. Old age crept upon him like a thief in the night, stealing his vigor and vitality. And so Uther sought to pass his crown to his son, a young prince named Arthur. But his wife, Queen Igraine, bore no child. So the king took a second wife, a woman named Egg. She bore him a son, but at his birth, a wicked fairy placed a curse upon him. She predicted that though the boy would be born a prince, he would live his life believing himself to be merely a lowly knight. And so it came to pass that King Uther died, and his son Arthur awoke in the castle of Sir Ector, not knowing he was destined to become king. Years passed and the young man grew. He trained in the ways of knighthood, becoming a fierce warrior and a noble youth. But the kingdom of Britain was in chaos. Ever since the good King Uther died, the nobles fought each other, ruining towns and villages, burning down homesteads. There was no peace. People prayed every day for a hero to come and save them. Meanwhile, across the land, rumors spread of a strange stone in the churchyard of London. Inside it was a sword that jutted from the rock. On the blade were strange symbols and letters. No one knew what they meant or who the weapon belonged to. All they knew was that whoever drew it from the stone was destined to be king. Knights from all over came to try their strength, but none could budge the blade. They strained and pulled, but the sword refused to come free. One day, Sir Ector decided that he too would go to the stone and claim the sword for himself. His foster son Arthur heard this and felt compelled to accompany him. On the way to London, the two argued. Sir Ector wanted to put Arthur to work, making him run errands and do menial tasks. And being young, headstrong, and hot-tempered, Arthur snapped back. Then Sir Ector said something that stung deeper than any insult. "You are but a bastard," he yelled, "a low-born child without worth. How dare you speak to me so?" This enraged Arthur, and he ran away from his foster father and went into the forest. Arthur walked for hours, and by the time he found his way out of the trees, he realized he was lost. He wandered around until he heard the sound of a bell. Following the music, he came upon a church, and inside, to his great surprise, he saw his foster brother, Sir Kay, kneeling at the altar. But the young man wasn't praying. He was looking ashamed, and when he turned around, he saw Arthur. "By God," he exclaimed, "how did you get here? We thought we'd lost you." "I followed you," Arthur said. "But why didn't you tell me you were coming to see the sword in the stone?" "I didn't think you would want to come," Sir Kay said, embarrassed. "I was wrong." He lowered his head. "I'm sorry I spoke harshly to you. I don't know what came over me." Arthur quickly forgave him. "It's all right," he said, "but I have done something stupid. I forgot my sword. I challenged Lord Torak to a fight tomorrow, but without a blade, how can I hope to win?" Sir Kay looked at his foster brother shamefaced. "I'm sorry," he said, "but I too have forgotten mine. I swear I'll never forgive myself if my one chance to prove myself is ruined because of my forgetfulness. What am I to do?" Arthur pondered for a moment. "We still have time," he said, "so let's go see if we can find a sword in the meantime." The boys raced out of the church and to the churchyard, where a stone monolith rose up from the earth. In its side was an indentation like a sheath, and inside it lay a beautiful sword. It glinted in the sunlight, and Arthur felt drawn to it like a moth to a flame. "Do you think that's it?" Sir Kay asked, pointing to the blade. "Maybe," Arthur replied. He reached into the stone and grasped the hilt, tugging it out. But the sword wouldn't come. He pulled harder and it moved a fraction of an inch, but that was it. "What's the point?" Arthur cried. "It's stuck fast." "Don't give up," said a voice. Arthur turned and saw an old man approaching. "Who are you?" he asked. "A friend," the old man replied, "and I see you have discovered the sword in the stone. It is stuck fast because it is not yours, but your destiny lies ahead of you. You will pull that blade from the stone, but it won't be today." He handed Arthur a ring. "Put this on," he said. "When you see me again, I shall tell you more." With that, the old man disappeared. Confused, Arthur slipped the ring onto his finger. Then he and his foster brother left the churchyard and went back into the town to await the morrow. That night, Arthur couldn't sleep. The old man's cryptic words echoed in his head. Was he fated to be king? Did the sword really belong to him? Why else would it have been sent to him? He didn't know it yet, but the old man was the great wizard Merlin, protector of Britain and Arthur's one true friend. As the night wore on, Arthur drifted off to sleep, dreaming of magic and mystery. In the morning, he awoke feeling refreshed. He told Sir Kay about his dream, and together they went to the churchyard to try the sword once more. But to their dismay, it was gone. A deep hole gaped where the stone had been, and the blade was nowhere to be seen. "How can this be?" Arthur cried. Just then, a figure emerged from the bushes. It was the mysterious old man, Merlin. "Where is it?" Arthur asked, panic in his voice. "Don't worry, you will get your blade," Merlin said. "But first, you must walk with me." He led Arthur deep into the forest, and after many hours, they arrived at a lake. At its center was a small island, and on it stood a magnificent castle made of crystal. Before they approached, however, a beautiful woman stepped forward. Her eyes were as blue as the sky, and she wore a dress woven from moonlight and starlight. "Greetings," she said. "I am the Lady of the Lake. Why have you come?" "I seek a sword," Merlin replied. "My young charge needs a weapon to defend himself." The lady gestured to the castle. "Come within and choose whatever blade you desire." Merlin nodded his thanks and entered the castle with Arthur at his heels. Inside, they found rows and rows of weapons, swords and shields and spears and knives, all crafted from the finest metals and enchanted by the greatest wizards. But Arthur's eyes were drawn to one weapon in particular. It was resting on a velvet cushion in the center of the room, and it seemed to glow with an inner light. Merlin saw which sword Arthur was looking at and smiled knowingly. "That is Excalibur," he said. "It is the most powerful sword in all of Britain, forged in the heart of a dying star. Only a true king can wield it." Arthur didn't hesitate. He walked forward and grasped the hilt. The moment his fingers touched the cold steel, he felt a surge of power course through his veins. It was as if the very essence of the universe flowed through the blade, connecting him to all living things. Arthur knew this was his destiny. The Lady of the Lake watched as Arthur claimed his prize. When he turned to leave, she called out, "Beware the day it leaves your hand, for when it does, your life will end." Arthur promised to remember her warning. Then he departed the castle with Merlin by his side. As they approached the old stone monolith, Arthur felt confident. Now he understood why he had been sent for. He was destined to be king. He drew Excalibur and plunged it into the stone. It hit the mark and stayed there, embedded fast. Then, as if by magic, the stone split open and a pillar of light shot into the sky. All the nobles of Britain saw the sign and dropped their arms, knowing their fight was pointless. They had chosen the wrong champion. Only Arthur could unite the land, and so he became King Arthur, ruler of Britain. He sat on the throne of his ancestors, and wielded Excalibur with honor and pride. For years, he protected the weak and vanquished his enemies. Magic filled his court, and wise counselors guided him. The kingdom prospered, and all was well in Britain. That is, until one day when his honor was challenged and he betrayed by his closest friend. At the height of his power, Arthur learned that his friend Mordred had usurped the throne. Filled with rage and sorrow, Arthur confronted his former friend, but was slain in battle. Before he died, he tossed Excalibur to the Lady of the Lake, who vanished into the water with the sword in her hands. From that day forth, no one saw Arthur again, for he was whisked away to Avalon, the magical island where he would heal and one day return to claim his birthright. From generation to generation, bards tell tales of Arthur's deeds, of his honor, courage, and compassion, and so the legend lives on.